Hello, everyone. Greg Michlig here, President and CEO at CUInsight.com. And on this episode of Three Questions, it's a pleasure to welcome Kathleen Maley, Vice President of Fraud Analytics with Experian. Kathleen, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Greg. I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
All right. I'm sure everyone is eager to hear your valuable insights, so let's get to those three questions. So, Kathleen, you and your team speak a lot with credit unions. What types of fraud are they most worried about? Is it first-party fraud, third-party fraud, or synthetic identity fraud?
Well, I'm actually going to throw you a curveball here, Greg. One of the things we've been hearing a lot about most recently is actually credit washing. And it's an interesting time. It's a very, very hot topic right now for credit washing. The idea is that a consumer will dispute trades as a way of artificially boosting their credit score. There's a lot of fear about this activity in the market right now. There's also, unfortunately, a lot of misinformation. And so one of the things my team and I do is a lot of research first on the topic. We actually have a report coming out very soon. So I want to put that teaser out there because it is on everyone's mind. But I'll come back to the first party, third party, synthetic. Third party and synthetic catch a lot more airtime than first party fraud. And I think it's because of the sensationalism of it. It's also something about because Gen AI makes it so much easier for fraudsters. It's very much top of mind. But what I'm going to say is that what probably should be top of mind for everyone is first party fraud. First party fraud is much harder to detect. And therefore, a lot of lenders have been lulled into a false sense of security. What looks like credit loss is actually fraud loss. This is another area where my team and I have done a lot of research and developed a lot of very sophisticated measurements for actually differentiating between what is an early payment default that is likely due to credit distress from an early payment default that is probably fraudulent in nature.
Interesting. So you talked about measurement there. Many credit unions are really unable to effectively measure their fraud rates or understand how they compare to their competitors. So what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I am a practitioner. I am an analyst and I love the numbers and I love the data. But I will share this one in particular. So again, when it comes to first payment or early payment default, being able to differentiate between what is a true credit loss and what is actually fraud, that really is a measurement problem. That is about, do I have the right attributes? Do I have the right history? In theory, any organization could do their own measurement of this problem if they had the right data. But comparing to peers, that's actually impossible to do without purchasing additional data. So whether you're a credit union or you're one of the biggest five banks in the United States or you're a global bank, only Experian can actually do that comparison for you because only we have reported data from all of your competitors as well as you. So the only way to get those comparisons is to effectively work with us. We actually do have a solution. It's something we've been doing for a long time. We've recently put some structure to it so we can actually offer it as a service to any of our clients who would be interested, where you get to say, hey, I want to know how I compare to this set of peers that I get to define myself. So that is now something that is doable. Everything always comes back to data and what you can do with the data you already have and where you may need to augment the data you have from providers who care for that data.
Interesting. I appreciate the explanation and definitely understanding that Experian is in the driver's seat when it comes to having the data that credit unions need to do that sort of comparison. Uh, Shifting gears a little bit to identity verification, that has really changed over time, bringing in new information like phones and email addresses. So, how important are these attributes to fraud modeling and strategies?
I would say at this point, foundational, absolutely essential. The practice of analytics and fraud analytics in particular continues to evolve over time. More data is always better. Let me preface that by saying I am a statistician. So we believe that more data is always better. But it also is true. Things that didn't used to be as important are now far more important. There's research that shows that actually your phone number is more important to your identity verification than your social security number. It is a number that we carry with us and we use for identity in all sorts of places in all sorts of ways. So not only is it essential to have these raw data elements, we also do a lot of attribute development based on that. One of my favorite sets of attributes we call velocity attributes. And so how do we use this? This would be something like your phone number should be unique to you. Well, we can look in our records and say, how often is that phone number showing up in various profiles? 2 times, 3 times? That's not that unusual. Some people still have landlines. It's less common than it was. Those trends are changing. But would I expect to see that phone number as part of 10 profiles, 15 profiles? If I see that, I, as a lender, have cause for concern. I will wonder, why is this phone number showing up as often as it does? That is a red flag. And I probably want to do a next level of verification. Same is true for email. We can also look at things like, how old is that email? Did it show up just this week prior to you applying for this loan? Or is this an email that goes back 15 years? In my case, I still have the email that I set up when I was in college. So that email has a long life and a long history. That tells us something. So these attributes are very, very important. Not only the raw data, the actual elements of the piece of identity information, but also the attributes and the information we can create when we look at different features of those elements.
Yeah, those are great real world examples. Appreciate you sharing those with us. And I thank you, Kathleen, for taking the time to join me today on the Three Questions video interview.
Absolutely. It was an absolute pleasure, Greg. Thank you.
And a final thank you to all who tuned in for this Three Questions video interview. We'll see you next time.